is a Bramble Jam podcast.
It's Monday, September 28th. You know what you should do? I'll tell you. Take the day off.
I did the double slapper.
I don't know what I was doing. It was like I was bubbling up to something, and then I just was...
I liked it, though. I liked it a lot.
I forgot, actually, after I said take the day off, that we danced.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't prepared. It's
Look
5
at that.
a.m. We're doing our best we can.
It's a little brighter in the middle.
It's a little brighter. And when we say a little brighter, it's white, and it's untenable.
We look good, though.
We look great. That looks awful.
Huh.
What happened?
I think I had to up the brightness yesterday.
For
Deck the Homework, because it's been a little dim. Maybe we can dim this TV as a whole.
Probably could dim the TV
because we
whole.
need to light it up a little bit on the cameras.
This?
Yeah. Hi everybody, how we doing?
Welcome to Bright Take the Day Off.
It's bright. It's
5 a.m. It must be bright.
It's bright. It's bright. It is not bright day, though, everybody. It's another really exciting day. A day that's so important that I think and we think you should take the day off.
Absolutely, you should take the day off. And we get up early to make sure you do it. In fact, Trace, it's starting to get cold here in Greenville. Trace got here early, got the heat going for us this morning.
Make some coffee.
Make some coffee.
Joe. Coffee Joe.
Yeah, a cup of Joe. I know. I've never heard it called Coffee Joe. Or is Coffee Joe a person?
He's my neighbor. That's interesting, Trace, because it is National Neighbor Day.
It's Neighbor Day, so you and your neighbor should both take the day off. If you're friends, if not, then maybe don't tell your neighbor. Let them go to work, and you take the day off and enjoy not having them.
Gonna watch some cinema with Coffee Joe.
Gonna watch some cinema with Coffee Joe.
Yep.
What kind of cinema are you watching? Typically, you go to the cinema.
Nope, not Coffee Joe.
Home cinema.
He's got a home cinema station.
Home cinema station.
Yeah.
Wow, boy.
They play straight to VHS movies.
If this isn't enough, maybe just turn this podcast off now and take the day off is what you should do.
I want to know if anybody has, as a result of this program, taken a day off.
I hope so.
I want to know. You can find us on the social medias at Take the Day Pod.
Yeah.
You can email us, bring it up, Bramble
Tweet
Jam
us a
Podcast.
pic of you taking the day off.
That's exactly right.
That would make our hearts happy.
Fully clothed, though, for the love.
But did that need to be said?
When I take the day off, I immediately get naked.
Today I know I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, Bruno wrote that song naked.
Yeah. Chilling in his Snuggie.
Snuggie.
Click to MTV so you can teach me how to Dougie.
Remember Snuggies?
Man.
Did you ever have a Snuggie?
I had the Offspring and the Slanket.
Where is that now?
I don't know. Not gone. Somewhere.
Yeah.
I hate blankets. But it was really for my wife. My wife loved the Snuggie. I don't really care.
I like blanket. That's part of the reason I love this time of the year. It starts to get a little cold. It gets cold in your house if you had bad insulation like I do, which, sounds like a bad thing. Like, oh, maybe you're going to spend more on air conditioning or heat or whatever, which, yes, true. But also,
you will.
It's going to get colder in your house quicker, which thumbs up for Brand.
Thumbs up for Brand. I love that if it's in my bedroom because I like being cold when I go to sleep.
Kids, though, have ruined it because, you got to have the heat on. That's annoying.
I had to get a space heater just for my kids' room because their room is a little bit colder than the rest of the house.
It's a safe one, though, everybody. Relax.
Yeah, of course it's a safe. Come on, guys.
Come on.
I can go to Big Lots and buy $15. Keep your clothes on if you're going to send a pic to us. That's all I'm saying. Things we don't have to clarify.
I stand by it.
My kids are not going to catch on fire, and no one's going to tweet us a naked pic on the Twitter.
I wouldn't have to say it if it hadn't already happened, Dan.
Wow, okay, never mind. Stand corrected.
Things are getting raunchy on the gram.
I saw raunchy on the gram live.
Hey, Bramble Jam Plus is the way to go if you want to get this show ad-free. So Bramble Jam Plus, if you're like...
these guys, it's our best transition
these guys are so good, I want to give them money.
That's right. Yeah.
If you were going to send us a naughty picture, but then you were like, oh, they said no, I'm going to send money anyways, that's the way to go.
Send money.
Hey, it's National Neighbor Day.
Yeah, it is.
I love my neighbors. I got some great neighbors. I was talking to my neighbor yesterday, neighbor Tom. And Tom, we were talking about sports. We were talking about how to get rid of hiccups, etc. Things you talk about with your neighbor.
Yeah, of course.
And he pulled something out of his pocket, and he was like, hey, the postman told me to give this to you.
The postman?
Yes. The postman told me to give this to you. You weren't there. It's one of those, like, you have to sign for it. And I said, I'm good for it. Tom did. And so Tom signed for it. And so,
what world is this?
This world.
There's an old school postman that's walking the delivery route, and the neighbor just says, I'm good for it?
I'm good for it. And Tom is good for it, though.
Wow.
Tom gave me the envelope. It was thick. I open it up. I open up the card. It had Monopoly money in it. And on each of the Monopoly bills,
like 20s, 5s, ones, what was it?
It was an assortment.
Accoutrement.
And on each of the bills, it said, Dan knows about Neighbor Day. And so I'm going to take whoever sent me that info on Monopoly bills, I'm going to take their word for it. Dan, tell me about Neighbor Day.
Now, there's a reason you don't know about underground cold horse racing. Because if it got out, it wouldn't be a thing anymore. It is high stakes gambling. It's underground. The temperatures are close to freezing, and they make these horses race anyway. It's like 38 degrees. The horses can handle it just fine. And it was started by Johns Hopkins. Now, not the same Johns Hopkins that runs the institution. That's just a coincidence. But cold horse racing became such a big part of underground gambling that swept the nation. You just don't know about it because you've not been to a cold horse racing league just yet. But as part of Johns Hopkins' way to help fund these gamblers, and not the gamblers, but the horses, and making sure everyone was taken care of, he founded Neighbor Day. Now, you think Neighbor Day is referring to, like, your next door neighbor. It's referring to neighbor. And that's the history of Neighbor Day.
Yep. I see that here.
You do?
Yeah,
Good.
We're going to stick with that one.
Okay.
We're going to stick with that one.
I thought you'd see it there.
But the good news is, while that is true of Neighbor Day, there is
really
also,
do that with your heart in it.
I'm sorry, Neighbor Day. There's also a National Neighbor Day in the, the way that every other human would think of it.
Okay.
Which is a Neighbor Day, spending time, showing your neighbors that you love them, that you support them. Listen, there's going to be a time, Dan, in your life where you're going to need a good neighbor.
That's right.
You're going to need a good friend. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Stuff is going to hit the fan, and you're going to call me up because we're neighbors.
Yeah, we are neighbors.
And you're going to be like, hey,
if you're just tuning into the program,
could you hook a brother up and go to put the fire out at my house?
This has already happened for both of us, really. We help each other out.
We do.
You came over and took my dogs out while I was gone.
Yeah, well, most of them. And that's what it's all about. The Neighbor Day is all about letting your neighbors know that you're there, that you care, and that you're ready to be aware of what's going on around them.
You're there, you care, you're ready to be aware.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And so, Dan, I got a quick trivia cue for you before we go to a break.
Quick trivia cue.
When was the first subdivision built?
Ooh. I feel like, so a lot of subdivisions, you're not going to like this, a lot of subdivisions were built because of racism. So people would move out to the city. So it has to be during some time when things were changing racially in our country for the better. Let's go with the 20s.
Ooh, actually a little bit later than that,
50s?
Dan. The 40s. 1947,
40s.
Levitt & Sons actually began constructions in Levittown, New York. I guess they have a whole town named after them. Planned a community of more than 2,000 homes, and that is a lot of neighbors.
It's a lot of neighbors.
And so they kind of began to take off, and you began to see more and more of these subdivisions popping up all across the country. And you know who I really think put it on the map, though, is Mr. Rogers.
Won't you be my neighbor?
He put being a good neighbor on the map.
Well, the Bible did a pretty good job of putting it on the map, too, didn't it? Love your neighbor as yourself.
From what I gather, though, the Lord got that from Mr. Rogers.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
So Dan, how are you going to celebrate Neighbor Day?
Well, I'm here, unfortunately, but I am with you, and you're one of my neighbors, so I'm going to do my best.
I think
I'm buying lunch today.
Wow.
What are you going to do?
Not much. I think if there's one good thing that has maybe come out of this COVID time, and there's not a lot of good things, but if one good thing is it kind of forced you when you're outside to talk to your neighbor because you were just so lonely.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you've gotten to know your neighbors a little bit more. Hopefully you can talk to them, hang out, and enjoy Neighbor Day together.
Neighbor Day.
Neighbor Day. That's exactly right. And if a postman brings a package to your door for your neighbor,
says, are you good for it?
And says, are you good for it? Say yes. Be a good neighbor, just like neighbor Tom.
And then steal the package.
No, don't do that. That's not being a good neighbor, Dan. We are going to be right back after this, where we talk about the question of the day, which was this. Tell us about, we've been very uplifting up until this point, but tell us about your worst neighbor. I'm sure we've all had some bad neighbors. Tell us about the worst neighbor you've ever had. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but we'll be right back here on Take the Day Off. Welcome back, everybody. Take the day off. Still bright here in the studio.
Still bright.
So if you're watching on,
fixed it in the break, we didn't.
If you're watching on the YouTube, get your sunglasses on.
That's right. Sorry
and
about
just
that.
enjoy the program. Dan, it's National Neighbor Day. Happy Neighbor Day to you. We asked you yesterday, our listeners, to tell us about Friday, to tell us about the worst neighbor you've ever had. We got all sorts of good answers from those of you that are a part of Bramble Jam Plus. You get the opportunity to answer these questions, and we had a lot of goodies. Dan, I want to ask you, though, do you have a bad neighbor story for the listeners?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not a great one. I've had so many neighbors in my life, and most of them were great or are great.
Thank you.
The house, you're okay. The house to the, like, if you're looking at my house, to the left is a house, like one of the only houses in our neighborhood that is rented out. It's not purchased or mortgaged.
I mean, my house is rented.
Your house is rented out. You're right.
Guilty.
But this house tends to turn over on a regular basis. So we've had, we've been in our house almost a decade. We've had, probably 8 different neighbors there. And some of them better than others. But the worst ones were the last ones we had. They just moved out 2 months ago, and we couldn't have been happier. It was a bunch of like 4 just graduated college bros, always having parties over there, always doing probably illegal activities based upon the smell anyway. They would always have these bonfires and bring TVs outside for football games, and like it was nonstop. Every weekend was just like they thought they were in a Greek village somewhere. And I know I'm getting old when I'm complaining about the noise, but when you have kids and you got dogs it just was brutal. And there was just no sense of time or space or anything with them. So glad that they're gone. Wish them the best of luck. So glad that they're gone.
I've had a lot of neighbors as well. I've moved a lot in the last few years of my life. I had a neighbor across the street. I didn't get to witness this, but they did get arrested for a large amount of drugs in the middle of the night. I was disappointed I didn't get to watch that squabble. Sometimes it pays to fall asleep early. Sometimes it doesn't pay. In this case, it didn't pay. I will say, though, at one point I lived in a townhouse.
Okay.
And in the back, you had a little backyard area that was yours. It wasn't fenced, though. It was one long stretch. Yeah. But, I understood it as this is my stretch, my little, from my back door to back door. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's my area. Yeah. I have dogs.
I helped you move into that townhouse.
Yeah. I have dogs. They poop. I am not someone who picks up dog poop. It's not my deal, except now in the front yard I do because my kids are playing.
I don't think it's anyone's deal, but there's times when you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's some people who still in their backyard, they'll go and they clean it up because they don't like
I don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I understood this stretch to be my stretch. I did not clean up the poop in that backyard. And
the whole thing?
No. My stretch.
Just yours.
If they went outside the stretch,
you picked it up.
I picked it up.
Okay.
If it's in my stretch, I don't.
Perfect.
I got a letter on my door, taped to my door, that says if I don't start cleaning up the poop behind my house, they're going to call the cops on me.
The cops.
The cops.
Boy, that escalated
quickly. They gave like an ordinance that I'm breaking.
Holy cow.
So I started cleaning up the poop.
I had someone call it a noise complaint on us
against you,
the dogs,
and
that's fair.
That's fair.
I have a hound dog that's loud. And
dogs are something.
Yeah, they are.
We asked you about your worst neighbor. We got a lot of goodies. A lot of goodies. Mona says Tom, which is also my neighbor's name, so I'm a little confused. But Tom apparently stole their lawnmower, which is a bad thing to do. Stealing lawnmowers, that's a bad neighbor, Dan.
That's a bad neighbor.
That's a bad neighbor.
I've got you beat because Blake says she had a cocaine dealer that lived in the apartment next to mine. He was always chasing after people and waving a gun around. I moved after a few weeks.
Sarah says that they once had a neighbor who would go on long walks around the neighborhood with a notepad and report everyone who wasn't following every HOA rule. We're not talking about big item issues. She would call out people who missed a week of mowing the grass or pulling weeds because they were on vacation. She wasn't even on the committee. She just chose to route out all of her fellow neighbors instead of doing the right thing and listening to the Bramble Jam podcast.
I gotta be honest, and I think you'd agree with me here. I would rather my bad neighbor be a bad neighbor because they're breaking the rules than a bad neighbor because they're adhering to the letter of the law.
That's exactly right. Rules.
Those are the worst people.
It's
not even close.
I have pretty much. It would take a lot. I would never live in a neighborhood with an HOA. I can't do it.
Somebody tell me how to. It would be very, very difficult.
It'd be very difficult for me. I would rather everyone just do what they want. Yeah. And sometimes
I would have to be paid to do that. Somebody's like, "Hey, I'm giving you the house is free."
Yeah,
that would be the situation.
I would probably do it then.
Yes. Mally says my only neighbor I've ever had is the best. He cuts our grass, trims our hedges, takes out and puts back our trash cans, so I can't help you there. That never move, Mally. Never move. That guy's a saint. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
Anna says a third grader who used the absolute worst, most horrific possible curse words. Which I just want to meet that kid because he sounds fun.
Yeah, my kids have never picked up words like that at school.
No. Julie says when she lived in Brooklyn, someone in the townhouse next door worked for the subway and blasted the radio in the shower next to my room at 4 a.m. every morning. When I asked if they could turn it down, they offered a battery-powered shower radio. They said no one has ever complained before and shut the door in her face.
Wow.
So that's just tough. That's tough. It's tough when there's sleep on the line, you know?
Yeah. Oh, no. That's the worst neighbor. How about this? Tracy says 1999 in St. Louis, Missouri, Kirkwood, which is a greater St. Louis neighborhood. My husband's in residency, gone all the time. I'm at home with a newborn baby and 2 dogs, Beagle Mix and another mutt. Passive-aggressive anonymous neighbor leaves ugly notes and then a shock collar in our mailbox for the obnoxious barking dog. I was a basket case and wouldn't let the dogs outside when I was home alone after that. Wow. Boy, oh boy. That is something. Man, leaving a bark collar in a neighbor's... We're getting into some serious area here. We're getting into some crime here.
We are. Here's Jennifer. This is quite the story. Our current neighbors have kids the same age as ours. So about 2 months into isolation, we joined up as a quarantine team to allow our kids to play together during lockdown. That's very quarantine. Makes sense. Yeah. The neighbor's husband was the only one of us going into an office with others, and we felt pretty safe. Unknown to us, he was directly exposed to coronavirus at work. His office shut down, and they suggested everyone get tested. Our neighbors kept this from us and continued to allow our children to play together while they waited for the results. His wife brought us baked goods during this time. He supervised all the kids on a couple of neighbors out. After 7 days waiting for the results, his test came back positive.
That's not a quarantine. That's a quarantine.
That's a bad team.
No.
Bad team.
Boy, I hate to leave it like that, but we're going to have to because time's running out.
It is running out. We love this. It was a lot of fun.
Don't do that. Don't be like that guy. Be a good neighbor. Take the day off for Happy Neighbor Day.
Yeah, and tell your friends and neighbors about take the day off. Tomorrow, got a question for all the coffee drinkers out there. It's a simple one. How do you like your coffee? There's a lot of debate about this. How do you like your coffee? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Until then, we're going to leave you with the Palahaku of the day from our good friend Chris Palaha. Until then, hey, go ahead and take that day off.
Take the day off.
Some days are a grind. Some days we just sweat it out. But we get through them. Have a great day, everyone.
That's so true.
Oh, isn't
That's
it, though?
so true.
It's so true.
Chris Palahaku, sometimes he just pierces the heart.
He speaks right to my soul.
He really does.
Right to my soul.
Hey, what are you doing later?
I don't know. Maybe grabbing a cup of Joe.
Oh, a cup of Joe. How do you like your cup? We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Take
the day off. It's produced by Brandon Gray. It's
Yeah,
hosted
it
by
is.
Brandon Dan. It's on the Bramble Jam Podcast Network. You can get this show and all the other shows completely ad-free. Not an ad to
Not
be
a single
found.
ad.
BrambleJamPlus.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Bye.